The morning sun had yet to rise over the buildings when 12-year-old Sarah gathered her small bundle of flowers, her fingers raw from the early morning chill. She carefully wrapped them in newspaper. These weren't fancy flowers from the store, just simple daisies and wildflowers she'd picked from the abandoned lot near their tiny one-room home in the poorest part of town. "Mama, I'm heading out now," Sarah whispered, gently touching her mother's forehead. It was warm, too warm. The cough that had started 3 months ago was worsening, and the free clinic's medicine wasn't helping anymore. "Sarah, honey, you should be in school," her mother whispered between coughs, her voice weak. "It's Saturday, Mama. Rest now. I'll be back with money for the medicine," Sarah said, tucking the thin blanket tighter around her mother's shoulders, trying to hide her growing worry. Their room in the old building was cold and damp, making her mother's condition worse with each passing day. The streets were already busy as Sarah took her usual spot near the tech district. Well-dressed people hurried past, clutching coffee cups and checking their phones. She'd been selling flowers here for 2 months now, ever since her mother became too sick to continue her cleaning job. "Fresh flowers, only $5, Sarah called out, her voice clear and determined. Most people rushed by without a glance, but Sarah kept trying. The medicine cost $40, and they were down to their last few dollars for food. The morning dragged on. She had sold only 2 small bouquets when a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. Sarah watched as a tall man in a black coat stepped out, talking rapidly on his phone about rockets and Mars. Her eyes widened as she recognized him from the news. It was Elon Musk. No. Gathering her courage, Sarah approached him. "Sir, would you like to buy some flowers?" Elon paused his call, looking down at the small girl holding the wildflowers. Something about her determined expression caught his attention. "How much?" he asked. $5, sir. They're fresh. I picked them myself this morning." He studied the simple bouquet, knowing the careful newspaper wrapping and the girl's worn but clean clothes. "Why aren't you in school?" he asked, genuinely curious. "It's Saturday, sir." Sarah straightened her shoulders. "I sell flowers to help my mama. She's sick." Elon was silent for a moment, then reached for his wallet. Instead of pulling out $5, he handed her a $100 bill. "I'll take all your flowers." Sarah's eyes grew wide. "But sir, I only have 7 bouquets left. That's too much money." "Keep it," Elon said, smiling. "You're quite the entrepreneur, starting your own business." He took 1 bouquet, leaving her the rest. "What's your name?" Um, Sarah, sir, and thank you so much." Her eyes welled with tears. "This will buy Mama's medicine and food for 2 weeks." Something in her voice made Elon pause. "Where exactly do you and your mother live?" he said. He sighed and drew a blank. Sarah pointed toward the rundown section of the city. "Old Bridge District, sir. But we're okay. Mama says we have each other, and that's what matters." Elon glanced at his watch, then back at Sarah. "Sarah, would you trust me to help your mother?" Sarah hesitated. Her mother had always taught her to be careful with strangers, but this was different. Everyone knew who Elon Musk was, and there was something kind in his eyes. "Yes, sir, but why would you want to help us?" "Because someone once helped me when I needed it, and because you remind me of myself at your age. Determined to solve problems, no matter how big they seem." He turned to his assistant. "Cancel my meetings for the day." What happened next felt like a dream to Sarah. Elon insisted on following her home, his security team trailing discreetly behind. When he saw their tiny room and her mother's condition, his face grew serious. Within an hour, an ambulance arrived and her mother was taken to the city's best hospital. "But we can't afford it," her mother protested weakly. "Please, let me handle this," Elon said quietly. "Your daughter's determination impressed me. Consider this an investment in both your futures." I still had my eyes fixed on Elon. The next few weeks changed everything. Sarah's mother received the best medical care available. It turned out she had a treatable form of pneumonia, complicated by underlying conditions that had gone untreated for too long. While her mother recovered, Elon's team helped them move into a small but clean apartment in a safer neighborhood. But it was what happened a month later that surprised Sarah the most. Elon returned to visit, bringing something special: enrollment papers for a STEM-focused private school. "Sarah," he said, sitting down at their new kitchen table, "your mother told me you love science and mathematics. She says you read everything you can about space and technology." Sarah nodded shyly. I want to build things that help people, like you do, maybe even help us get to Mars someday. Ellen smiled. That's exactly why I'm here. I want to offer you a scholarship to study at Aurora Academy. They have an excellent science program. Sarah's mother, now healthy and back at work with a better job, wiped tears from her eyes. We can never repay you for all this kindness. You already have, Elon replied, looking at Sarah. Your daughter showed me something important that day. That great determination can come in small packages. Sometimes we all need someone to believe in us. Sarah stood up straighter, just like she had that first day selling flowers. I won't let you down, sir. I promise. I know you won't. And Sarah, keep one of those wildflower bouquets for yourself next time. Scientists need beauty in their lives too. 5 years later, Sarah stood on the stage at a Young Inventors competition presenting her project, a new type of air filtration system for low-income housing, inspired by her mother's illness. In the audience, her mother watched proudly, healthy and strong. And in the back of the auditorium, a familiar figure stood quietly, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. Later that evening, after Sarah won first place, Elon handed her the flowers. Remember that morning? He asked. Every day, Sarah replied, taking the flowers. It taught me that kindness can change lives and that no problem is too big if you face it with determination. And what do you want to do next? Elon asked. Sarah grinned. Help design life support systems for the first Mars colonies. Someone needs to figure out how to grow flowers in space. Elon laughed. Now that sounds like a perfect plan. As they walked out of the auditorium, Sarah's mother was chatting happily with other parents. Elon looked down at the young girl who had once sold him flowers on a cold morning. She had grown taller, more confident, but that same determination still shone in her eyes. You know, Sarah, he said thoughtfully, some people think success is about having the most money or the biggest ideas, but sometimes it's about a small bundle of wildflowers and the courage to believe in better days. Sarah nodded, clutching her prize certificate in the bouquet. And sometimes it's about people who stop to help, even when they're busy changing the world. That night, Sarah placed the wildflowers in a vase on her desk next to her school books and the prototype of her invention. As she worked on her next project, she kept glancing at the flowers, remembering that cold morning when hope had seemed as fragile as flower petals. Now, she knew hope wasn't fragile at all. Like wildflowers pushing through concrete, it was one of the strongest forces in the world. And sometimes that hope came in unexpected moments. Like when a busy billionaire took the time to buy flowers from a little girl who refused to give up.